I am the tragic supporting character in a cliché conservatory drama, the one who sacrifices everything for the frail, beautiful female lead, ignoring the brilliant, passionate woman who actually sees my worth. I'm the gifted cellist who gets his hands broken by the arrogant male lead before being written out of the story entirely. In my second life, I woke up. The female lead, Clara, was clutching my arm in the practice room, her violin case resting at her feet. Tears welled in her perfect, doe-like eyes. "I know you're so good to me, Julian, but I can never love you. My heart belongs to Damian." I yanked my arm away. "Then go be with him." The male lead, Damian, cornered me by the lockers. "Take this scholarship grant, a full ride, and stay away from Clara, or I'll make sure you never play a single note in this city again." With tears of gratitude in my eyes, I took the acceptance letter. "Thank you, sponsor. I'll make my solo debut in your name." "Can you just stop bothering me?" That perpetually fragile face was now laced with impatience. "Julian, even though we've been partners since our first year and you've composed so much for me, I only see you as a friend. Please, stop this. I'm with Damian now." My mind, which had been a fog of phantom pain from a life I hadn't lived yet, suddenly cleared. I wasn't dead. My hands weren't broken. I was back in my final year at the prestigious Alarian Conservatory. I, Julian Thorne, a prodigious cellist from a modest background, handsome enough, but utterly blind, ignoring the fiery conductor, Seraphina, who saw the genius in my work, to chase after Clara, the conservatory's delicate darling. Our partnership was legendary. Everyone assumed we were a package deal, destined for greatness together. Then Damian Sterling arrived, a piano virtuoso with a 9-foot grand piano for a personality and a family fortune that practically owned the conservatory. It was fate, the novel said. He and Clara fell in love, and suddenly I was just a ghost in the practice rooms she no longer frequented. I didn't accept it. I couldn't believe years of shared music and soul-bearing vulnerability could be erased by a trust fund and a flashy sonata. But all my efforts became a joke. Clara accepted my compositions, used my arrangements, and leaned on my shoulder, but she only ever gave me the title of dearest friend, while giving her heart to Damian. I was the ultimate simp. I gave her everything, even took the fall for her academic probation, and got nothing. So I turned bitter, desperate to keep her by my side. The end result was, of course, agonizing. Damian crushed me, framing me for plagiarism and orchestrating an accident that destroyed my hands. Before I bled out, I had a flash of understanding. I was a character in a book. Damian and Clara were the leads, and I was just a disposable obstacle to their dramatic love story. My entire existence was a stepping stone. But I got a second chance. Nothing had happened yet. Clara, not getting the usual pained reply, opened her mouth to soften the blow, but I pushed her hand away. "I get it. You can go. I won't bother you again. And find another accompanist for the concerto competition." I was insane before, a puppet dancing on the strings of the plot. Now I'm awake. Reject being the simp, refuse to be their third act conflict, reject the fate of a broken musician. The female lead? Get away from me. Clara froze, shocked by my cold dismissal. I turned to leave, but she lunged, grabbing my jacket. She must have realized she'd gone too far. Her safety net was walking away. She hugged me behind, her voice a careful, honeyed whisper. "Julian, are you angry? I still see you as my closest friend. I just don't want you to waste your feelings. Can't we be like we were before? You know, besides Damian, you're the most important person to me." I rolled my eyes. If she didn't love me, why keep me on a leash? I was about to shove her off when a chillingly familiar voice cut through the air. "Thorne, you're harassing Clara again. Let her go." Damian strode over, his fist already clenched. I raised my arm to block the blow, but still stumbled back. "Are you blind? She's the one clinging to me." "As it Clara would ever touch you. Did you threaten her?" Damian pulled Clara to his side, his rage deepening as he saw her performative tears. "Why are you crying, Clara? What did he do to you?" "I did nothing. She came to me asking me to help her practice." In the past, I was a doormat. I'd spend all day transcribing a difficult passage for her, only for her to use it to impress Damian. When she fought with him, she'd come crying to me, and I, like a fool, would confess my feelings. She would then immediately recoil and accuse me of harassment. Now she was doing it again, her tears painting me as the villain.
The old me would have defended her honor and taken the blame. The new me won't. Damian's voice was a low threat. Enough with the excuses. It's always about pestering Clara. Now take this scholarship grant and disappear from her life, or I'll make sure you never play professionally again. I took the letter with a trembling hand and teary eyes. Thank you, boss. I'll disappear right away. But the next second, he snatched the letter back. You're not worthy of my family's charity, you bottom feeder. He even made a gesture of disgust. You can't dangle a full ride in front of a student and then snatch it back. That's just cruel. He provoked me. We fought. It was a messy, undignified brawl of bruises and torn sheet music. Clara shrieked, "Please stop fighting!" The scene was pure chaos, but at least I landed a solid kick to his shin. Eventually, we were pulled apart by other students. Seizing the moment, I pulled out my phone, scrolled to my chat history with Clara, and shoved it in Damian's face. Read it. She's the one who messages me at 2 a.m. asking for help with her phrasing, not the other way around. Damian's face went pale. Clara looked at me with wide, innocent eyes. Julian, how could you do this? I see you as my best friend. I trust you so much. Why would you try to mislead Damian like this? Damian's confusion instantly morphed back into fury. You despicable bastard, Thorne. Clara always told me you were her kind friend who looked out for her. She begged me not to be harsh with you. I can't believe how twisted you are. Don't think I don't know what you really want from her. One sings, the other harmonizes. It's all my fault. I was about to launch myself at him again when a sharp, mocking voice sliced through the crowd. Funny, those with twisted minds see everyone else as twisted. Seraphina's arrival was like the first crashing chord of a symphony. Always bold, always arresting. A deep crimson coat was draped over her shoulders, her features sharp and intelligent, a fierce, unapologetic beauty. I really was blind before, chasing a pale imitation like Clara, when a masterpiece like Seraphina was right there. Seraphina, this doesn't concern you. Oh, is the great Damian Sterling conducting my life now? Seraphina crossed her arms, her gaze flicking dismissively to Clara. I came to correct an injustice. Do you have an opinion? You can keep it. Damian was used to people bowing to his family's influence, but Seraphina's family, the Bistrova dynasty of conductors, was just as powerful. His usual tactics were useless against her. Damian, let's just go, Clara whispered, tugging on his sleeve. Go? The matter isn't settled. You smear Julian's name, say your piece, and now you want to run? Seraphina blocked their path. Feeling guilty? What are you talking about? You're hurting me. Please, I'm not a man. Playing the damsel in distress doesn't work on me. Seraphina, what do you want? Don't bully Clara. Damian pulled Clara into a protective embrace. I want to prove Julian's innocence. Seraphina held up her own phone, playing a video. Look carefully. Who is harassing whom? I didn't know she had been nearby. She had recorded the whole exchange, including me turning to leave and Clara grabbing onto me. Now Clara was speechless, her eyes red with real frustration. Damian's face was a thundercloud. Clara, I also find it strange. Since you're with Damian, why do you ask Julian to arrange your music? Why do you text Julian when you feel anxious before a performance? Why do you ask Julian for help when you're struggling with a passage? She sneered, Who's the one with ulterior motives here? Julian and I grew up musically together. I'm just used to relying on him. How could you think of me like that? Clara's tears fell, but this time no one rushed to comfort her. Julian, what about you? Seraphina turned to me. Can you see clearly now? Are you still going to be a fool? I immediately made my position clear. I was blind to ever like her, but I'm done. Damian, control your girlfriend. Tell her to stop blowing up my phone. Whoever breaks that promise is a dog. Well said. A genuine smile finally graced Seraphina's lips. Julian, you've finally woken up. After cutting Clara out of my life, I grew closer to Seraphina. In the past, she had been the one to approach me, circling my orbit,
trying to pull me out of my self-destructive obsession. She defended me when Damian's cronies tried to sabotage my cello, she dragged me out of the bar when I was drowning my sorrows over Clara, and she took me to a quiet observatory to watch a meteor shower. She once said that as long as she was around, she'd make sure my music was heard. She meant it. I broke my wrist seaming Clara from a falling stage light, and Seraphina gave up her spot in a master class to nurse me back to health. Unfortunately, the plot-addled me never saw her kindness. Fortunately, with this second chance, I wasn't blind anymore. Neither of us would make useless sacrifices again. This time, it was my turn to protect her. "Why are you staring at me like that?" Seraphina put down her espresso, raising a hand to her face. "Is there ink on my face?" "No." "You're not thinking about Clara again, are you?" "No, I'm thinking about you." The words tumbled out before I could stop them. I saw Seraphina freeze, a faint blush dusting her cheeks. "Liar," she grumbled softly. It's true. I felt awkward, unsure how to articulate the massive debt of gratitude and burgeoning affection I felt. "Thank you for today. Actually, not just for today. I really—" Seeing me blush and stumble over my words, she laughed. "All right, I get it. Let's eat." "The weather is nice tonight," I said later, changing the subject. She nodded, "I suppose." I clenched my fist, gathering my courage. "What I mean is, can I invite you to the old St. Cecilia's Hall to hear something?" The abandoned concert hall was cool and cavernous, smelling of dust and old wood. The moonlight streamed through the tall, arched windows, illuminating the empty stage. Seraphina stared at the stage, and I watched her. The atmosphere had been charged with a strange energy ever since my invitation. Seraphina, usually so direct, had become quiet, almost shy. She was nervous. I could feel it, which in turn made me nervous. A cool draft made her shiver, and I took off my coat and draped it over her shoulders. As I pulled my hand away, she caught it. I met her gaze, my mind going blank. Seraphina's eyes were always so intense, but this time I didn't look away. "Julian, why did you ask me here?" Before I could form a coherent sentence, she pressed on. "You don't like Clara anymore, do you?" "No." "Do you like me then?" Intense, passionate, never looking away. Who could say no to a love like that? I gave her a firm, sincere answer. "Yes, I like you." "Sarah, don't answer yet. I know that compared to you, I'm still far behind. I was blind and foolish before, but I'm going to build a career. I have to be worthy of you." I gathered all my courage, unable to look her in the eye. "So, could you give me a little more time?" Silence. I could hear my own heart pounding in my chest. I looked up nervously and met her gaze. Her eyes were a little red, as if she was about to cry. "No," she said, and my heart plummeted. But in the next second, the corners of her mouth turned up in a triumphant smile. "I've been waiting for you for a year. I'm not waiting any longer. Let's be together now." "Huh?" I was completely taken aback. But she grabbed the lapels of my shirt, pulling me closer. Our faces were inches apart, her nose brushing against mine. I held my breath. "Julian Thorne, I'm asking you, do you want to be my boyfriend right now? Answer me." "Yes." No hesitation. I could give her that answer instantly. Seraphina's smile widened and her lips met mine. My mind went blank. My heart felt like it was going to burst. I couldn't hear anything but the frantic, thumping rhythm of our two hearts beating as one. The plan to be with Seraphina was now in motion, and the goal I needed to strive for was on the agenda. My character setting was an obsessive love fool, but as a supporting male, I also had extraordinary talent. It was the only way I could have been a credible rival to the male lead. In my previous life, during my final year, I used my talent for composition to create a revolutionary cello concerto. At the time, Vanguard Records, the biggest competitor to Damian's family company, Sterling Prestige, offered me a recording contract. I could have used it to launch my career, But because of a single word from Clara, I foolishly gave it up, handing the opportunity and my composition to Damian for free. Now that I had a second chance, I wouldn't make the same mistake. I found a few like-minded musicians, and just like in my previous life, we formed a string quartet to workshop the concerto. With the memories of my rebirth, the composition was even more refined. I registered the copyright and submitted our quartet to the International Music Exhibition. The exhibition was full of industry giants. All eyes were on the big labels like Sterling Prestige and Vanguard. No one paid any attention to a new quartet of conservatory students. But when we took the stage and played the first movement, the atmosphere in the hall shifted. Before we were even finished, several A&R reps had approached us. At the end of the night, the director of Vanguard Records himself invited us to dinner.
I knew this concerto was a gold mine, and these savvy executives knew it too. However, business is business. Seeing that we were just students, they tried to lowball us, offering to buy the composition outright and sign me to a restrictive artist contract. For ordinary students, the offer was life-changing. While my quartet members hesitated, I stood firm. We don't accept a buyout, either a profit-sharing and distribution deal or an investment in our quartet as an entity. We didn't reach an agreement that night, but I wasn't worried. After all, Damian hadn't made his move yet. Things went well today. Are you planning to work with Vanguard? During this busy period, Seraphina had been incredibly understanding. Now that we finally had some time, I wanted to be with her. Don't worry, Vanguard will come around, I said, pouring her a glass of wine. Once this is all settled, I'll take you to see the Northern Lights. We were graduating in a few months. Seraphina had always wanted to go on a trip to see the aurora. It was a wish I intended to fulfill. Really? You've been working so hard, Julian. If you need my family's help, just say the word. There's no shame in it. I know. I gently took her hand. But please, also believe in me. I will use my own abilities to become someone who's qualified to stand beside you. Before Damian came to me, Clara did. During this time, though she hadn't approached me directly, I could feel her testing the waters. She'd post on social media about feeling unwell. Before, I would have rushed to her side. Now I ignored it. She probably wasn't used to being ignored and had a mutual friend casually mention it to me. I just gave a cold response. She then started appearing wherever I was, even pretending to trip and fall, looking up at me with those pitiful eyes. I just walked right past her. I didn't expect her to corner me in the library. Julian, can you not sign with Vanguard? Damian told me he is very interested in your concerto. Can't you talk to him? I couldn't believe her audacity. Our relationship was already in tatters, yet she could still make such a shameless request? Impossible. Why should I listen to you? Who are you to me? I said, not even looking up from my book. Julian, are you still mad at me? She asked, her eyes turning red. Is there anything else? I had no desire to speak with her, but she had no sense of awareness. Julian, we grew up in this conservatory together. You said you would always compose for me, always protect my music. You wouldn't really ignore me over a little misunderstanding, would you? I did promise that, but then I also promised not to bother you anymore. What, you forgot your own words so quickly? Clara was speechless, her face flushing as tears welled up. Julian, I didn't mean it like that at the time. Don't cry. If you want to cry, go outside. I'm busy. My patience was gone. Clara walked out, sobbing. Julian, they say you're with Seraphina now. Yes? So? Is it because of her that you're ignoring me and breaking your promises? Clara, are you serious? Seraphina is my girlfriend. I should be good to her. Who are you? Why do you think the entire world should revolve around you? Clara was stunned into silence by my words. You really want to have your cake and eat it too, don't you? You come to me when you need something, then claim I'm harassing you when you don't.
Do you think I'm an idiot? We made things clear last time. Don't bother me. My girlfriend doesn't like it. Don't make me say something harsher. I'd wanted to say those words for a long, long time. Now that I had, seeing Clara's face as dark as a cello case, I felt fantastic. She ran away. I didn't think she would bother me again. Offers for the concerto came one after another, each more generous than the last. Damian was one of them. He always carried himself with an infuriating sense of superiority, as if his birthright gave him the authority to look down on everyone else. Don't sign with Vanguard. Sell the rights to me. I'll give you an extra $50,000. I sneered. Not for sale. Thorne, don't be ungrateful. That's the highest offer on the market. I'm showing you respect. Don't push it. Sorry, I decline your respect. I don't need it. Go find someone who does. Goodbye. You... Damian slammed his hand on the table. You will regret this, Julian. After Damian's visit, Vanguard couldn't wait any longer. They met with us again, made concessions, and I successfully negotiated a profit-sharing deal and a significant investment in our quartet's future projects. As the biggest rival to Sterling Prestige, Vanguard's power was immense. This was my first declaration of war against Damian. He wanted me to regret it, but I was ready.
On the day of our official single release, Damian simultaneously released a piano arrangement of a concerto that was almost identical in its core themes and melodies. It caused a massive stir. The music forums were buzzing, debating who copied whom, but I was calm. That's despicable! They're playing dirty! My quartet members fumed. The project manager from Vanguard also looked grim. Julian, we signed an exclusive contract. If the other party's composition is this similar to the core of your work, I may need to reconsider our partnership, the manager warned me seriously. My teammates were furious and felt betrayed. But in the face of profit, honor is a flimsy concept for some. I don't know if the Sterling family did it on purpose, but the timing was a direct attack. But just because you imitate something doesn't mean you can capture its soul. In just a few hours, the server traffic and reviews showed a stark difference. Of course, Damian's piece was the one getting torn apart. Honestly, the idea is similar, but the emotional depth and execution are miles apart. Vanguard's release is a masterpiece. What is Sterling Prestige doing? How dare they release such a shoddy product? Did they try to plagiarize Vanguard and rush it out? For a time, dissatisfaction with Sterling Prestige surged. They issued a statement claiming they would refine the piece, but listeners weren't buying it. The debate over who plagiarized whom raged on. Fine, if he wanted attention, let's make it a spectacle. That afternoon, Vanguard held a press conference. I attended as the composer, detailing the entire creative process. From the initial scribbled motifs to the full orchestration, every step was dated. We had enough evidence to prove originality. As for the plagiarist, it was obvious. Although Damian still tried to do damage control, repeatedly claiming it was a case of convergent inspiration, no one believed him. So I decided to give him one last big gift. Just as Sterling Prestige issued another statement, a huge problem emerged with Damian's recording. The digital file was embedded with a subtle, high-frequency tone that, after 30 minutes of playback on high-end systems, caused speakers to overload and blow out. For a time, the recording and Sterling Prestige became targets of public outrage. They were being sued left and right. Users demanded an explanation. This was the biggest flaw in the initial draft of my concerto, a fatal bug I'd fixed long ago. Damian, in his rush to get the piece out, hadn't discovered it. This time, Sterling Prestige was in serious trouble, facing not only a ruined reputation, but also massive financial liabilities. Damian was furious and called me screaming, "You did this on purpose! You're vicious! You set me up!" I sneered back. "I set you up? Did I force you to plagiarize my work? Did I force you to rush a release on the same day as Vanguard? Or did I force you to bribe a member of my quartet to sell my early drafts to you?" There was a moment of shocked silence on the other end of the line.
Then Damian exploded. "You knew everything! When did you know?" Yes, if I didn't know everything, how could I have orchestrated such a perfect performance with the help of a mole? Pushing open the door to the practice room, I saw my teammate on the phone, listening to Damian's tirade. He probably hadn't even processed that I was standing right in front of him, with the Vanguard's legal team. "Sorry, brother. According to your contract, you might not even be able to keep your cello. Prepare to face a life-altering lawsuit." He turned white as a sheet and collapsed. "Julian, I was confused. He offered so much, and I only gave him the initial version." He was still trying to play the victim, but no one was giving him the chance. He was escorted out. The Sterling family's company took a massive hit, and their stock became unstable. The recording was pulled, and they had to compensate countless consumers. Damian was ruthlessly chewed out by his father. The Sterling family felt Damian had changed for the worse after meeting Clara. They forced them to break up and tried to arrange a marriage to the daughter of another powerful family. This news reached Clara. The two had a huge fight. When my classmates told me this gossip, my heart was calm. Who would care about Damian and Clara if they weren't the male and female leads? But I still underestimated the power of the so-called protagonist halo. Damian returned to the company, chastened, and under his father's orders, actually married the daughter of another corporation. The combined pressure of the two families did affect Vanguard. Among businessmen, there are no permanent enemies, only permanent interests. When the new alliance proposed ousting me from my contract with Vanguard, their choice was obvious. They offered a generous severance package. Because I held profit-sharing rights and a small stake, it wasn't easy to just get rid of me. Moreover, in the past 6 months, my work had been praised, and I was on the rise, so they expressed their regret. I understood the game, but the more chips I had, the more I could demand. In the end, I left the company with a substantial sum of money.
Seraphina was furious on my behalf and wanted to use her family's connections to fight for me, but I stopped her. I was already planning to leave and start my own independent label. I've been preparing for this for half a year. Taking more money with me on the way out isn't a bad thing. But the Sterlings are too much. You're my boyfriend. How can they bully you? It's okay, baby. I know you're worried. Don't worry. It won't be long before I give back to Damian everything he gave to me. I didn't care about his protagonist halo. Since I had awakened and could change my own destiny, this 2-lifetime grudge had to be settled. After I left Vanguard, many labels extended offers, but I refused them all and officially founded my own, Thorne Records. The initial stage was hectic, but I had built connections at Vanguard, and with the fame from my first concerto, I slowly built my business despite pressure from the Sterling Alliance. Clara's life, however, was not going so well. Because Damian chose an arranged marriage, she had to break up with him. I remember from the original plot, Clara was already pregnant at this time. Heartbroken, she ran away with the baby, and that's when I, the unlucky supporting character, would have come in. I would have taken care of her and her child. Out of spite, Clara would have told Damian the child was mine, which would have made him hate me even more. I would have suffered greatly. In the end, they would have gotten back together, and I would have been the villain. This time, without my interference, her life wouldn't be easy. A recent graduate with no money, what kind of job could she find while pregnant? It wasn't my concern. However, as if orchestrated by fate, I went to meet a business partner at a cafe and ran into her. She was visibly pregnant, struggling to bus tables. She saw me too, and a flicker of hope entered her eyes. But I just looked away, my expression unchanged, as I laughed and talked with my partner. Just as I was about to leave, I heard the crash of ceramic and a heavy thud. Damn it! I was still complaining in my head when I turned to see Clara on the floor, clutching her stomach in pain. "Julian, save me! My stomach hurts so much!" "Drink some hot water," I muttered, turning to leave. She lunged and grabbed my pant leg. My partner looked at me confused. "Julian, do you know this lady?" Reluctantly, I sent Clara to the hospital. I didn't expect that as soon as she was taken into an examination room, I'd be grabbed from behind. I saw a fist coming and instinctively sidestepped, using the man's momentum to throw him over my shoulder. Damian lay on the ground, groaning. "Are you insane, Damian? Do you want me to call the police?" You Julian, you're despicable. You already have Seraphina and you're still doing this to Clara. What's wrong with her? Is that child yours? I laughed out loud. You're the one who's insane. What did I do to her? I haven't seen her in months. Don't try to pin this on me. You got married and want me to take the fall? Do a paternity test. Let's see whose child it is. Damian was silenced by my tirade, his face pale. Then what's wrong with her? Why did you bring her here? I have no idea. I came to have a coffee and she was working here and fell. She grabbed onto me begging for help. Was I supposed to let her die? You have the nerve to question me. Why don't you ask yourself why you're too much of a coward to take responsibility? Naturally, Clara and the baby were fine. When she woke up and saw Damian, she delusionally tried to get me to help her lie. I shut her down with one sentence. The father of your child is right here. Solve your own problems. Don't involve me. After leaving the hospital, I immediately sent this juicy news to Damian's new wife. Sure enough, it was quite the show. His wife brought her family to the hospital and caused a huge scene, nearly giving Clara a panic attack. Damian was also injured in the chaos. With a little push from me through anonymous tips to gossip columns, the story became a public scandal. Damian's wife filed for divorce, and by the time Damian turned back to find Clara, she had already disappeared, running away with the baby. At this point, I had already taken the opportunity to sign a new distribution deal and launch my second major work. A year later, my label continued to expand and Seraphina's parents finally approved of me. They took the initiative to invite me to their home and our marriage was officially on the table. At that time, Damian had been kicked out of the Sterling family's center of power. His father brought back a capable, illegitimate son to take over. Damian's mother had a breakdown and a messy divorce with his father. Another year passed. My company was thriving. Damian's parents were divorced and he and his mother were completely cut off. When Clara found out Damian was broke and living on the streets, her heart was filled with a sense of noble sacrifice, and she came back with their child to redeem him. The male and female leads finally got together. It seemed like a beautiful ending. However, it seemed Clara couldn't save Damian. He did give up his vices, but he was a broken man. Clara worked to support him and his mother, constantly cleaning up his messes. Even so, Damian would still beat or scream at her whenever he got drunk, blaming her for his downfall. Seraphina and I saw them once by chance while shopping. Damian was drunk, and Clara, dragging him home, looked 10 years older, haggard and worn. He leaned against a lamppost with a cheap bottle of liquor in his hand. His eyes were hollow, as if he'd lost all interest in the world. Clara was quietly pleading with him, her voice full of exhaustion. I don't know what she said to anger him, but Damian suddenly smashed the bottle on the ground. Home? What home? Glass shards flew everywhere. Clara cried out, but splinters still grazed her arms and legs. She squatted down in pain, her face pale. Damian just watched her with cold indifference. His voice was flat, like a knife. You look disgusting. She gritted her teeth, stood up, wiped her tears, and continued to pull at his arm. The moment she looked up, she saw Seraphina and I. Unexpectedly, Clara just gave a faint, tired smile, then continued to drag Damian's heavy body down the street. They seemed to have lost their protagonist halo. Life was a mess, but this pair of resentful lovers was destined to be tied together, torturing each other forever. But that was no longer my business. The moonlight brushed against the old wood of the stage in St. Cecilia's Hall, laying down a silver carpet. The cool night air swirled around us. This is where we first truly connected. I stand here now, holding Seraphina's hand, the distant past scattered like forgotten notes. The future I promised her, I can finally give it to her completely. Will you marry me, Seraphina? I will. It was the most beautiful music I had ever heard.